tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
'Cause I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
I'm talking to you, Jess. We're talking to you, Jess. Hey, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to another Secrets and Lies After Show. Tonight, we're talking Season 1, Episode 9, The Mother. Before we dive into that, I want to make sure you guys are all subscribed to us on YouTube, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV, so you can watch along live and check out all the other shows we cover. You can also catch all the after shows on iTunes and SoundCloud as well. And throughout the week, make sure you guys are tweeting to us. We want to know what your theories are about the show. Comment on YouTube. We love all the theories that we're getting and who you guys think did it and why. It's awesome. I'm Lauren Salaun, and you can find me on Twitter at Lauren Salaun. And I'm joined tonight by Sterling Cates, Chelsea Briche, and April Whisenhant.
Hello.
Hey, how you ladies doing? And where can everyone find you guys on Twitter?
You can find me at Sterling Cates. Sorry, I was just thinking how stressed out I am after the end of that episode. Right? Thinking about it. What about you guys?
Y'all can find me on Twitter at April Whisenhant.
You just skipped me.
I was, going around the circle.
You don't need to find C. Briche.
Yeah, there you go. I just have my people, C. Briche.
There we go. A solid start. All right, so this is the second to last episode of this season, and of course, it's just been getting more dramatic and more dramatic, more secrets, more lies every week.
Can't say enough about it.
More and tonight's was intense. I think at the end of it, we were all just like mouths open, like, what is going on?
Like, I am having a little anxiety. Like, I honestly kind of started sweating a little bit.
like heart palpitations over there.
And then I had chills, and I'm kind of exhausted. I need to go to bed.
Yeah, we were saying, I think I can take a nap now after that episode.
Exactly, and what we're getting in for next week, I think it's going to be nuts. And I know some people commented on YouTube that, that Ryan Phillippe was, I think, on Larry King, I believe it was, and said that, will be completely blown away and totally devastated by the conclusion, which I cannot wait to see.
Like, devastated in a good way.
Yeah, which means that it's someone that we definitely know.
It's someone we know and someone we don't think did it, I think. But before we dive into all of our theories about it, let's jump into the episode. So the big focus of tonight's episode was on not Crazy Christy, but Crazy Jess.
Well, there was a little bit of focus on Christy.
There was, but the real meat of it was Jess, I'd say. But yeah, for Christy though, Ben confronts Christy about the money, and she counters with divorce papers, and things have just gotten so icy.
What did she say? 150 grand?
Yeah,
is what Michael has been giving her over the years.
Yeah.
And I love
as a cushion.
I love the line where he's like, "That's not." I forget what he says at the first part, but he's like, "That's an escape plan." Because I would think the same thing when you find $150,000. That's not a cushion. Like, oh, this will help in tough times. Like, that's a lot of money that you're prepared. Like, you're planning for something. So I think he was spot on with thinking that.
Right.
But even if it was like a cushion, quote unquote, I just feel like, especially in a marriage, you should tell them, be like,
for sure,
if. Just so you know, I don't know, whatever, if they're going through hard times, like, if kind of, shit hits the fan, like, my brother did this, so I don't want you to overstress, like, we're going to figure it out, but here we go.
Yeah, right. It's, like what you're saying, Chelsea, it's definitely, she doesn't have any faith in Ben and his career, and it's just not a thing you do for a long time if you want to have a good, strong relationship with somebody.
And if it was over the years, like you were saying, that means there hasn't been trust for a long time.
It seems like they've been kind of going downhill for a while, and she knew that. I think they both knew that, honestly. Yeah. He seems kind of relieved to be done with this marriage. He's like, nope, there is no way we are getting back together.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, you might get back together tomorrow. And he's like, no, we're never living together again. This is a huge relief.
Ever.
At this point, though, I know I was holding on to hope for Ben and Christy for a while. Like, no, it's okay. It's just a rough patch. They're going to work on it, and it'll be fine. They have their kids and all that. But the last 2 weeks, she's just being kind of a B word. And
well, I don't love how she's completely trying to get him out of the kids' lives.
Right.
And he's obviously such a great father, despite everything that's going on. He has a real connection with the girls, and to force him out of their lives is worse for the daughters than it is for anyone else.
And I don't see how she doesn't get that. Like, obviously, I mean, thankfully I've never gone through a divorce in my life with children, but I mean, I can't imagine ever, like, your kids begging to see the father who you know is a good person. It's not like the guy is a drug addict and he does all of this. Like, she's only doing harm by keeping them from him. She's not protecting them in any way.
Yeah, I think she's just reacting out of pure anger and trying to hurt him, essentially, and not realizing that it's totally messing with the girls, too.
Right.
And not the way to do that. And so still on Christy, we learned that she and Sam, her client, were together the night that Tom died. Right.
Again, there wasn't much, like, around that. I felt like that was a big bomb that was dropped.
Yeah.
You know, like how they did before with, what was the news that they dropped? That she actually cheated on him.
Yeah.
Remember that episode? It was a few weeks ago, and they were just like, it was confirmed.
There you go.
They just kind of slid it in there. And we were all like, wait, what? Like, she cheated. It's confirmed.
Yeah.
But so here, when they said that whole thing, when Cornell was like, yeah, you guys were together, I was expecting more of a more stuff surrounding that. It was just kind of like casually.
I mean,
thrown out
Cornell
there.
does question her a bit on it, and we learned that, you know, Sam says 12:30 is when she left. She says 1, and Sam's like, I'm not getting involved in this. He's like, peace out. This is your problem, lady.
I can't believe, the thing is, obviously it's such a big deal that Ben cheated because a baby came out of it, but I completely agree with you. Like, even when we found out that she did cheat on him, it still, even then, wasn't like, it's like, okay, she cheated, but Ben cheated. And I don't get why it's such a, like, more
Double
played
standard,
on that he cheated.
It doesn't make it
versus she
okay
did.
just because he did it
it's
first.
never okay.
And it seems like she consistently cheated on him, and he cheated on her this one time that we know
I think
of.
she's been cheating for a while.
Yeah.
So really, she's...
Maybe that's why she got an abortion, because she didn't know whose kid it was. But also, I want to...
That's a really good point, I think.
I want to know how Cornell knew about, like, where she was that night. And then also she knew exact quotes from whatever conversation that was she was talking about. Like, that she said Jess and Tom needed to go or something. Whatever that conversation was.
Everything.
Yeah, but I want to know, like, how... I want to know, like, how
Detective
did she
Cornell.
know? And also, what do we know about the Sam guy?
Because
Nothing,
she
really.
would have. So the fight that she's referring to is the night that he told her, right? Mm-hmm. So the only people, obviously, we know that Abby and Natalie heard, but who else would have been listening to that conversation? Like, that's before Tom died, though.
Someone had plugged his house, remember?
Right.
That was before Tom
But
died.
that was after Tom died.
No, his house had been bugged for a while before that. So,
Yeah.
But in that situation, would then the police listen through all those tapes?
Wait, his house was bugged before this happened?
Yeah, it was before.
Because it happened, Kevin did it when he saw them at the 4th of July party.
Oh.
He was like suspicious about you.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I forgot that was before Tom died, though.
Me too.
That he bugged the house.
Yeah.
But
Kevin's
also,
still coming back.
I don't. Maybe it was just like fluff to make it seem like Cornell, just knows everything under the sun. But I feel like maybe there was something. Maybe she was accusing Christy of kind of like a gold digger thing. But I just feel like she was really on it. That he owns these 5 houses and these 3 cars and drinks this expensive wine. Like, I don't know if that is. Maybe it literally has nothing to do with anything.
She's running to.
But
maybe
the
money.
first comment,
Maybe the money is coming from Sam, not Michael.
Good point.
Maybe, but I feel like he wouldn't have kind of thrown her under the bus like that with her alibi.
Yeah. And also, it's not, 30 minutes, sometimes I'm like, it wasn't such a huge gap that she was like, oh, I left at 9, and he's like, oh, she left at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And
it's like the middle of the night regardless.
Right.
Just
So,
by a few minutes.
I'm never like, oh, I left his house at 12:31. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like
I don't
one-ish.
know.
Yeah, it did seem like it was kind of splitting hairs. I mean, I get that there's this 30-minute window, and it is very conveniently 30 minutes in that time that they believe Tom went missing and died. But 30 minutes, like, I don't know when I got home last night.
Right.
Exactly. You know, I'm like, around midnight, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
wouldn't-
There was so much on that. Like, and they both kind of looked at each other like, I told you to say 12:30. I told you to say 1. You know, like, I don't.
That's what it seemed like almost. They had discussed it before.
Yeah.
And they didn't have it together.
Yeah.
When the
And they
time
didn't.
came.
Well, Sam does not want to get in trouble at all.
No.
Dude, Sam is a piecing out.
Yeah, and
he's smart for
with only one episode, I don't. If we had more episodes, I would think that situation would get looked at a little more closely, and even Sam, you know, we'd learn a bit more about him.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I think that kind of is
don't
like
think we're gonna see him
throwing us
again.
off the scent.
Yeah.
Sam's not someone that we wouldn't want it to be, or like someone that we really care
Who
about.
cares about Sam
Yeah.
and his necklace?
Yeah, his necklace was a bit much.
Wait, I didn't even notice.
He was wearing like
just
a chain.
chain necklace.
Yeah, it was interesting.
He's got
Come
his
on,
fashion,
Christy.
you know.
You can't go from Ben
fashion.
to Sam. What?
So with Cornell, she finally comes out and says that she doesn't think Ben did it, which
Finally.
is so nice to hear. Finally,
I know.
because she's been so on top of him all season long. So now she's kind of looking at all the other options, goes back and reassesses the crime scene and looks at other areas surrounding it to kind of see, you know, to retrace her steps like Ben and Dave did last week.
She could have just been being so hard on Ben just to get close to everyone else in his life.
That is true.
And that's a good
Look at you,
Christy.
detective.
And like Abby.
Detective Cornell's in the building.
Yeah.
Special guest.
If I were her. Yeah.
And she does find, so they find a toy down in the woods, but not at the exact crime scene. So, and then they spray their little like magic spray on it to find that there was blood on the tree, and essentially she concludes that, okay, someone was trying to lure him down to the water because he can't swim and they were going to drown him, but he escaped somehow, so they, you know, hit him over the head with a flashlight right here, and that's
And she
where it
determines that
happened.
it's a female.
Yeah,
She's like,
that's what she was saying. It's a
water
woman's
deaths
MO.
are always female.
Yeah.
Well, think about
that?
in any like crime show you get. I get that is like she's, you know, making a very like distinct point right there. But in any crime show, that's kind of how they go off of. Like anytime like someone's poisoned or whatever, even though it is like pretty definitive, and of course there are cases where it goes other ways.
Yeah.
But I mean, typically poisons are women. Typically
Why?
drownings are
Because
women.
it's not violent.
Yeah, they go for the least like bloody, gory way. But then you
I
also
thought about the drowning
that whole
thing, and I watched
scene-
so many crime shows.
Yeah, that was kind of weirdly interesting to me. Like, I just didn't know that spray, you know, that blood. Like, I don't know. I just didn't know any of that. That was.
I only know that from Dexter.
I know. I watched too many like murdery shows, I guess.
I watched a lot of SVU in my day.
Yeah, exactly. And when she said she, I know we were all sitting there like, she?
Yeah.
Who is
What's
it? Because
she?
I think we'll get to it later in our predictions, but I think we have a lot of she suspects on the panel here, so we shall see. So we also see Cornell at the fair when Jess and Ben go there, which seemed a little weird because nothing really came out of that. You know, usually you
think
see stuff
it's
and then
coming.
she'll, you know, we'll know why, but
Maybe she was
it's
watching
in the
someone
finale.
play mannerisms
Yeah,
and
that
how they
whole
act.
scene was so interesting, and I think a lot of ways, like when we were talking about when we were watching, like Jess get the hint.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
Yeah, let's
leave.
talk about Jess.
Yeah.
Go home, Jess.
Right.
You're done here.
I now think it was definitely on purpose that her car didn't start. I mean,
It was completely on purpose.
Oh yeah, my car doesn't start. Can I tag along with you guys? I get that it's not that weird to ask your neighbor. You know,
He's not
it's a
just your
very
neighbor. This
complicated-
is-
right.
yeah,
it's a very
it's-
complicated
yeah.
situation. So I get to
Take a
ask to
cab.
like get a ride
Or
but-
don't go.
But she
Don't
needs
go.
to
Or go and don't be like
all over him.
Yeah,
Can I get
touch.
this for you, Abby? Like
Yeah.
all this stuff.
the
like,
chest, the hand
go
to the
walk around
chest
backwards.
touch.
I
No
don't
way.
know.
Well, Abby was clearly uncomfortable with it, so I don't
Yeah.
know why Ben kind of wasn't really getting the hint from her. It's like he was at times, but then he wasn't whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
He needed to prioritize that time with Abby because
Yeah, that's
clearly
true.
the whole episode, you know, she's very, you know, sad and
needs her dad,
confused,
is what
and
she
she
needs.
needs her dad, and
Yeah.
that was very clear with her not going back with Michael and Nat, and they want to have this special time together. And Ben should have freaking put his foot down and said something like, "Oh, we're having a special daddy-daughter time.
Right.
Like,
Totally
I'm sorry,
agree.
we can drop you off or something, you know." But to
Yeah.
make it like, come on.
I mean, I get that Ben's like trying to be the nice guy, and obviously, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, like, he does obviously have a connection with Jess. Like, they had a son together, and regardless, you know, they were close friends, whatever, but like, you have to be a father, and that's not his wife, you know what I mean? And it's not anyone that should ever overbear his children. So like you said, he should have just been like, Jess, I'll take you, drop you off, but like, Abby and I, end of story, you know?
Yeah.
And like,
I
we
agree
don't
with
need
that.
to be doing games or writing things together, you know?
No.
And he
Yeah.
should know his daughter well enough to pick up on that. And
Well, Abby was very obvious about it.
yeah.
It's not like she was like
Covering it up.
at all.
Yeah.
I think Jess knew exactly what to say to Ben to get him to feel really bad for her, so that he couldn't be like, oh, well, I'll just drop her off. Or she's like, I'm just so lonely. You know, Tom loved this. So she knows it because he's actually a really good guy. And so she knows exactly what to say to kind of, you know, get in there and spend a little more time with
Because,
them.
like, how would he say no?
Right.
Well, at the beginning when her sister was like, you don't know Jess at all.
Right, yeah.
And we immediately started saying, oh, she's bipolar or like has some sort of mental disorder or whatever.
Yeah.
And it turns out that that's true. She's a crazy person.
crazy person.
Not to say that people
No,
bipolar are crazy.
No, but they didn't ever confirm that she was bipolar, but they confirmed that she
confirming
had
that she's crazy.
something
She was taking
going on.
bipolar medication.
But like in hindsight, if you think about everything that happened in the episode, I think she probably recognized everything that was happening with Abby,
completely agree.
and that she picked up on that and then jumped on board with that, just to kind of reel Ben in, make everything happen. And then even when they go home later, and she says the comment, you know, we can make another kid. And it's kind
Okay,
of
hold
terrifying.
on. Everyone,
You know, like it seems all very plotted. They were all, she got him exactly where she wanted him at the little fair.
She's like,
caressing
maybe
him.
we did already.
Yeah.
The next morning.
Yeah, maybe I already tricked you into something.
Little Tommy too.
Stop. And if you want to write a book on like things to not say and or do the morning after, I mean, she nailed them all.
Not even one.
No, I mean, number one. No. Number two, like the whole like, we can make dinner tonight. I could do this. I could do that. Like,
When he's already dressed, like trying to
he's,
run
like,
out. And
Stage 5 clinger.
God, that was just
Definitely.
so good.
But that's what I'm saying. That's her. She goes from this emotional, you know, that we were talking about last week. How she's we want to see her not crying because she's always like crying. And this week she's like, oh, we just did this. So I'm like, oh, baby, I love you so much. And I'm like, wait, I thought you were what?
Right, yeah. So she
Yeah, it
did
was
seem
so
way
weird.
too high energy and up. I
Something's
guess.
going on with
and
her,
we
and
do
it's like,
learn
oh.
through her sister saying, you know, oh, she hasn't been taking her meds. And he's like, oh, the antidepressants or whatever that were prescribed after Tom died. And she's like, you don't know the whole of
her,
it.
yeah.
And Ben finds bipolar medication and some sort of antipsychotic
Antipsychotic.
medication. So there's a lot going on with her. And if she's not taking those medications, that's pretty dangerous and serious thing. Yeah. So
And her sister says
explains.
that's why Scott left, is because he couldn't deal with her episodes, and she does get violent.
Right.
But she said she destroys things, not people. But I mean, that's not
mean, we saw her
that doesn't
throw those
always
scissors
happen.
at
That's like the beginning. You destroy things, and then you probably lead to destroying
But I
people.
mean,
You know,
I would imagine when you get in fits of rage like that, I don't have any experience with that, but when you do, it might not be the easiest to like get out of it. You know what I mean? If you're already doing
you know
something,
what I mean?
yeah.
Well, right. Like, what if she had hit Ben with those scissors?
Right, like
Yeah, what
she
if they,
didn't
like,
know
went
that it
in
was
her
just going
eyeball?
to whiz by his head.
well, she aimed to kill, but
Right.
he's just
Who
so,
knows
like,
if she
fast.
got a flashlight in her hand? I don't know.
He does run a lot, so.
Right. He's still running in that same old place.
So she ends up obviously going a little nuts on him, which totally turns the tables from their like flirty and totally.
understandable.
Yes.
I mean,
One is kind of understandable.
I think it's I wouldn't throw scissors at someone's head, but if someone accused me of killing
Murdering
my
a kid.
son,
Yeah.
then
And
I
my-
would probably go a little crazy.
So Ben went back.
daughter, right?
Yeah. Well, Ben went back to his old habits of just automatically accusing someone
Right.
when they're already upset. You know, when they find you snooping around their house, and then you get upset at them about and accuse them of murder.
What are you
of
doing
course
in my
she's gonna
house?
get
You're a murderer.
Yeah, of course she's gonna get upset. Yeah, exactly. And she gets upset, and not for good reason, but she doesn't need to throw scissors at him.
No.
But he does discover that she had a child before.
Right, Jane.
Which he has no
died.
idea about, and her
Yeah.
ashes are just there. I don't know. I mean,
Well, he says you have 2 dead kids and you have medicine.
Yeah,
What's
you can't.
happening?
But also, like, how terrible is that? Like, if she really just genuinely has 2 kids, like
That's
that.
so
yeah,
We learned the
exactly.
one
He
they
can't
say-
just accuse her of killing them.
Right.
you
right?
know?
No, I
That's
agree
ridiculous.
with you.
No, exactly. He can't
But-
keep doing this thing where he finds like one little smidge of evidence and then goes crazy on somebody. You know, vet it a little bit more. Maybe like talk to other people about it. Get some perspective. He like just finds this stuff and then reacts so aggressively at people.
Another thing is she got there and up in that room really quick. Like her
Okay,
car
thank
wasn't
you.
there. He
Yeah.
was there for maybe like 10 seconds
Maybe
and
10
then she just
seconds.
automatically appears.
Pops up.
Yeah.
Maybe
would
she
have
had
to
car
get in the
trouble
car.
again. I still think we were all talking about this during. I still think he should have just been like, "I'm here for another round."
Right.
Well, he
That's
was
what I'm saying.
holding
She would
the
have been fine.
ashes.
She would have been fine.
He could have been like, "Oh, I was looking for your lingerie."
Right, that's what I was saying. He should have been doing all his snooping naked. So when she came in, he could just be like, "You're back, good." You know?
Waiting.
What is this?
But instead, he
found
just
this. I don't
calls
know
her a
what it is.
murderer.
Yeah.
Of 2 kids.
But
Especially when you find
okay.
out that she's not taking medication for explosive fits that are potentially violent.
You probably shouldn't just go crazy on her.
He needs
Yeah.
to practice his investigating and
Yeah.
snooping a bit more.
Definitely.
Do it the right way. Take some tips on that.
He did good with Christy finding the money, but that's
Yeah.
the only thing he's
God,
done
I want
well
to throw
at.
scissors at Christy. I'm so over her.
Me too.
I know I didn't like her this episode either. I didn't love her this episode either.
I was holding on to them for a while too, only
Were
because
you?
I didn't want him to be with Jess, because I feel like
Yeah.
they're like trying to, or they were trying to build up that like, oh, they have this secret connection, but I was like, I kind of don't want them to have it because
Yeah.
it felt so
Icky.
wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm out.
Can
He
we
just
talk
doesn't need
about
to be
that
with either
scene
of
with
them.
the
Some time
music when
alone.
they come home from the
I know. This is what I want to talk about, and whoever out there knows the correct answer, you guys, I swear on my life that when they got out of the car, they went into Ben's house.
We saw the same thing.
no,
that
we,
was on the
You guys, they went
We
into
saw
Ben's
it when
house,
to Jess's house.
and then when they woke up, we're like,
They were in
whose bed
Jess's
are they
house.
She
in?
unlocked the door though, and they walked
Yeah.
in.
She said, "Oh, I could use some company." Usually, you say that at your own if you're going to your own.
Yeah. I could use some company at your house.
I know.
Well,
Maybe
clearly they were at her house the next morning, but we both thought we saw the same thing. But the music that they were playing.
Oh my god,
way too cheesy.
There could have been a tackier song.
Right? Yeah, it was a
bad.
little
It
cheesy,
was
which is
bad.
unfortunate because that wasn't supposed to be like a cheesy.
Yeah, it just.
ridiculous moment.
I feel like that song and like that move is like something all the fans you would want the fans to be like, yeah, I'm so glad this is finally happening.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was kind of just with the mood of
was-
this whole
yeah.
show in general. It just felt a little.
I wasn't
out of
happy
place.
that it was
I was just
happening.
like, oh no, this.
No, I wasn't either at all. I mean, like, I know we probably enjoyed seeing Ryan without his
that was
shirt
gonna be my
and
next
stuff, but
Didn't mind that.
right, exactly. Sorry, but yeah, we at this point, him and Jess are not a good option.
Well, all I can think is like, listen to your kid, like how upset she just was. They're both
Yeah,
like,
the
You're gonna
timing.
be with Jess. You're gonna be with Jess, and then like he's like, no, we're just friends. Which obviously they're
He's
more than just
stressed
friends.
out.
But he's like
Gotta relieve
the same
tension.
touche.
I mean, Christy's
Lord.
definitely not giving it to him.
Yeah, they haven't. She hasn't touched him in months.
Yeah, but it's still December.
Years even.
Like this has been over the course of like 3 weeks for all these people. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's like not even New
hasn't
Year's
been
yet. It's been almost Christmas for a while.
There's still, I mean, they went to the fireworks like Christmas festival thing.
Was it for New Year's that they went to the circus, or no? Or
I
was
don't
it
think it was New Year's.
The festival, the
Carnival, or
fireworks.
whatever they went to?
The circus.
I don't think it was for New Year's.
No, I don't think
Because
it's
there's
New
still
Year's either,
Christmas
'cause they
decorations
still-
up everywhere,
yeah, they
which
said
is
something
not
about
weird
Christmas.
for New Year's, but
Yeah.
Well, the detective guy, said to Cornell, "Happy New Year's, Cornell," or whatever when he had her results.
Oh,
which
I think it's
happened after.
coming.
Okay.
don't think-
But
Okay,
still,
anyway.
it's been like
Regardless,
1
it's-
month
yeah,
in their
within
time,
a short amount of time, yeah.
Which I feel like with all that's going on, Ben, you could like not
Maybe
go to,
hold
go
off.
to bed with your neighbor
Yeah.
that you slept with 6 years ago.
Well, and
5
he
years
just found out that Christy, like, legit has a boyfriend. Mm-hmm.
Well, he could have definitely picked a smarter person to,
But he has feelings
relieve
for
But
her,
at the
though.
same time,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know why I'm taking Ben's side because I just so don't agree with any of this. But at the same time,
Like, who else is he going to sleep with?
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, and she
You know what I mean? Like,
No one else in the neighborhood wants
Just
to
take a
wants to sleep
shower
with him.
and
Yeah, like
take care of it by yourself.
yeah.
Ben.
Well,
Sorry.
Well, Jess did just confess
this right now?
Is this allowed? Is this? Hey, we're not saying it.
Jess just confessed to him though that she didn't regret any of it happening because Tom came out of it, and it was she had feelings.
But I
blah,
think
blah.
she knows.
So he was vulnerable, and so was she, and things happen.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
Briche?
Very
But
true.
like the touch at the
That was
fireworks
too
thing,
much.
she should know better than that.
I know,
I don't
everyone
like
were like,
slap her
"Don't
in the
touch
face.
him."
Yeah,
Especially
his
when he
daughter's
said
there.
that, and especially when he just said Cornell might be there.
Yeah, he's like, I think I saw Cornell, and she's like,
Let me touch it.
I love
Yeah,
it.
don't have her
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jess.
See, it's all planned.
I don't like her.
Planned.
So, other folks going on. Mr. Dave. We didn't have a lot with Dave this week, but he
Except for why does he know the yoga schedule so well?
said it's across the street
But
from
still-
Cold Stone.
But
I kind
still-
of believe that. I don't think that was.
I think there's something
Sits
else
at
there.
Cold Stone, stoned, eating his ice cream, watching the girls go in and out in their yoga
Like,
pants.
yeah, guys'
Dave does.
favorite thing in the world are yoga
Totally.
pants. Like, naked or
So-
yoga pants.
But he was like, "Oh, her class starts in 20 minutes."
Yeah, I bet he, like, times,
probably-
like, to get his, like,
yeah,
3 scoops of ice
he-
cream, like, to sit down.
Those are
watch
the kinds
in
of
and out.
things Dave does.
Yeah. He doesn't have a
Do
job.
we think?
Yeah, so
I think-
Dave doesn't do anything. It's not like he's saving the world.
Right.
So, but the other thing about Dave is that he did put this little nugget of suspicion in Ben about Christy, but Ben didn't say anything to Christy. He didn't turn on her and
Well,
call
Christy
her a
won't
murderer.
talk to him.
I know, but usually when he finds out that
Right, when
information,
he
like
gets-
suspicious information, he just goes,
Like, goes to burn
goes to
someone's
them
house.
and immediately calls them a murderer. So that was a little out of character for
Yeah,
him.
but yeah, Dave totally agreed with the lawyers positioning Christy as a suspect, which, I mean, if you're a defense lawyer, that's a smart angle to take with it. And he thought it was so weird how helpful she was about everything. Like, knowing
But I
where
agree.
everything was.
I do
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
that's
at the same
that's why
time-
we've all kind of,
Thought it was Christy anyway.
pinned her as a suspect.
But in the beginning, I think it was because she was so set on his innocence that she was like, oh, well, of course we should be helpful, because we want to get this taken care of and get you
Right.
cleared of all this as soon as possible.
Just can't believe anyone these days.
Can't trust anybody.
Except Ben.
Except Ben, strangely enough. I mean, I trust Cornell too. I mean,
do
I
too.
think she sometimes is a bit of a meanie.
Yeah.
But
She is kind of a bully.
She has good intentions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she has good intentions. I just don't
killer
think
at
she
her
like
job.
jumps to conclusions like Mr. Ben.
Killer.
Yeah. I think she definitely was like,
killer.
she was way too hard on him for sure. She went about like, obviously, like we said earlier, she could have just been hard on him to get more information
Yeah,
about other
I think
people.
that's smart.
But I think she was still a little too like rash and
Right.
way too harsh on him at certain times. But if you find out the killer of a 5-year-old, then it's all worth it, right?
Yeah. And she's working fast. This is, like we said, like the month of December. She's like been going.
She did
Done
this
this
in
a time
9
or two.
episodes.
Yeah, 9 episodes. Great job,
Way to
Cornell.
go, Cornell.
So,
Is that the first good thing we've said about him?
Yeah, ever.
Yeah, now we're all Team Cornell.
yeah.
We switched boats real
I
fast.
feel like I've liked Cornell a lot.
Oh, I
from
haven't.
the beginning. Yeah, Chelsea,
I have
not
not.
at all.
I'm switching. I'm Team Cornell.
She's less.
Because she goes, I know it's not Ben Crawford.
Yeah. See, we're all Team Ben, so therefore anyone who supports him, we support them.
Yeah, it's not Ben. That's for sure.
It's just not.
So
One of it is.
let's talk about the girls a little bit. We did already with Abby and the Jess dynamic at the fair, but she, thinks that Ben is seeing Jess, and I think we all obviously, feel for her in this situation, like how terrible that's all going on. But she seems very jealous of Ben and Jess's dynamic for sure. And Nat, again, is kind of being a more mature presence, which is such a relief to see, because I know in the beginning she was such a brat and she
Yeah,
was such
agreed.
a pain. So now there was some focus on Abby, and the episode ends with Abby having gone missing, and Ben's running around going crazy trying to find her, and then pan over and see how creepy Jess looks.
The smirk, yeah. She has
No, she
Abby
has
somewhere.
Abby.
Well, she would have been
has
like,
to.
no, she wouldn't say, oh, your daughter's missing. How does that feel? Like, she wouldn't say
She
that.
knew exactly
Abby.
what was happening, and that little smirk,
And
and
her
she
little,
locked the door.
she stands there.
Yeah.
Like, how terrifying is that?
I think she could have her, but I also think that she could just be enjoying the fact that Ben is freaking out. And
I mean,
she's
I
thank
think
to,
Jess
like,
either physically
dig
has
that
her
knife
or
in
knows
more.
exactly where she is. Yeah.
And
I don't
she's
think
like,
she just happened to be standing there in the street. Like,
Yeah. Or next week we'll start with right there at that moment with him getting into the house and Abby's like watching TV or something. You know, like nothing too serious has gone on.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to end up with a dead Abby too.
No,
or
I don't
anything
think
like
so.
that.
But at the same time, like, they just came off that night where Abby's not a huge fan of Jess. So she's not just chilling. Like, I don't think she went to Jess for comfort or like, hey, my dad's not home, you know?
Yeah, she probably thought Ben was over there. If she like
or
went
what if
over
she
there by herself.
confronted Jess or something.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't
Well,
think about that.
I feel like she probably ran away to go to Ben, and then he wasn't home, so she probably
Went
thought
to
that he
Jess's?
was at Jess's, which makes sense.
And I feel like they were like kind of, you know, the way Abby was acting with, Dad, I love you so much, I don't want you to be with her, la la la. I feel like they're kind of making it, trying to like turn into a twist of, oh, she would do this to protect her relationship with her dad, which is what we've talked about too. But then now I'm kind of thinking in my mind, I mean, still am to this day, but whenever I was really little, I was obsessed with my dad to the like, and I would say the same thing, like, oh, daddy's girl, and like I was obsessed, never wanted to leave his side, and so at first I was kind of like, oh, this is all weird, and I feel like it's like making her kind of like a little twisty, but now I'm like, oh, I think it's kind of normal.
Yeah, she feels like her parents are, you know, they're pitting each other against the other. So it's,
Right.
I feel like she's just trying to, you know, prove.
Well, I think
like,
in
yeah,
her
no.
mind, if he's with Jess, then he doesn't love the family. And
Right, he's turning his back
Right.
on
He's choosing different
his family.
family. Yes, which makes sense. Which
Yeah,
is
so
natural.
I think Abby's reactions were totally, you know, expected.
Yeah, and
for
even
the
and even
situations
like
going
the
on.
phone thing, like if she were to see Jess touch Ben like that, she probably just did it so that she could get that attention back.
Right,
From
yeah,
him.
she's
So
like,
I think that's like completely normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I need to do something to stop the touching.
Yeah.
Exactly. Smash
Little
my
does
phone
she know what happened after.
I don't know. So, do we want to get into what we think is going to happen next week? Some predictions and stuff? Woo!
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So,
I think that conversation that happened on Michael's porch between Cornell and Christy, when Cornell was talking to Christy, and then Abby comes in and says, "No, you said this," and we learned that Abby overheard this conversation, that, you know, Ben would probably leave the family or whatever. So that kind of puts some motive there on Abby, Christy situation. I don't know. I think that conversation was really important, that we learned that Abby overheard that.
right. Oh, yeah.
And Natalie
And,
did too.
and Natalie did too.
But Natalie's a little more.
But I mean,
level-headed.
Nat also kind of made it apparent, like, we've heard everything.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like, you guys
yeah.
have not done anything in secret or anything behind closed doors. Like, we know it all.
And we've seen how
Yeah.
they don't decide
I mean,
to
that's
have their
awful.
adult conversations somewhere
And
where their
private.
girls can't hear them, you know,
Yeah.
or they just hash them out in the middle of the day when the girls are home and just in their rooms. Like, it's okay to be talking about these hugely serious family things.
Yeah. Well, Ann Cornell says, "I was right. It was her," or whatever. So do we think?
guys,
Who do we think
if
her
it is Abby,
is it Jess?
I think it's Abby or Jess.
I'm going to go with Jess.
If it's Abby, I think that Christy like tried to cover it up or whatever by like.
I don't think that it is Christy. I feel like that's been too obvious of a choice the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Jess right now is too obvious, and I just think that whole interview thing where Ryan was like, "It's gonna be, you're gonna be devastated, you know, it's someone you don't expect," sort of thing.
Abby.
I feel like it could be
But
Abby
you guys, but why would Abby do that?
because she feels like her dad. She probably overheard.
But she didn't know.
We don't know that.
But they've heard everything, like Nat said. So maybe she did know, like through another conversation. Obviously, I think Christy already knew about Jess and Ben before.
Yeah, because why did she bring it up regardless?
Right. So clearly she knew before, or she had known for a while. So maybe Abby heard whenever she found that out, and she wants to keep her family together, and she doesn't want, to fight.
Or she could have heard that night when they're having the fight and feels like her family's getting torn apart, so she goes over there with the flashlight and.
Because think about who would be the only people that could really, because now we know it definitely had to be someone who, would get him out of the house. Like they went into the woods. I mean, I guess someone essentially could have kidnapped him, but it's not set up that way. There was no forced entry, so a key was used.
The key, she said
she knew where it was.
Yeah.
She said, maybe in the kitchen.
So I think that it could have been a thing of like, let's go down and do this, like friend.
I don't think Abby's strong enough to
I don't know. That's why he was able to get away, why she wasn't able to drown him, and she had to use the flashlight is because she's trying to take him down there, and he's like, oh, what's going on? This isn't okay. And he tries to bolt, and she's a little kid too, so yeah, she can't hold him, so then she's like, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, listening to you guys, it makes sense, but I can't,
believe it.
If Abby killed Tom...
It's very outlandish.
I mean, right? That's almost like a kid killed this kid.
Because maybe, even as much as I just said, these are normal comments, she's still a little... They're portraying her as a little off-ish. I mean, she's not... the most.
Can you guys, and knowing it's going to be such a huge shocker, you know, who is one of the most,
so we're
the
like
least
trying to figure
suspect
out.
is probably her, but there's enough nuggets
what if
to
it's
be able
Elaine?
to point to it.
Can you guys clear one thing up for me, though? And back to that conversation on the porch when Cornell said, did you or did you not say Tom and Jess have to go or whatever? She said something like that, and then Abby comes out on the porch and said, no, she said that Dad was going to leave, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, what was that Tom and Jess have to go thing? Because that's weird. If
Maybe,
Christy said that, if that was what was recorded.
Because I think they were around so much. Like, Tom was always over, and now was babysitting. Like, there was no separation.
Yeah.
They live across the street from each other, so they're going to see a reminder every day. But yeah, I mean, I think in this sense, you take it literally. They have to go, as in they have to die.
See, and maybe
But it could also maybe they have to move out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, or they just could have taken it they can find another babysitter, or Jess doesn't need to be over every Tuesday and Saturday.
Right.
Or
I'm sure that's how Christy meant it, but maybe if Abby overheard her saying something like that,
she was
then
trying
she
to
could
help her
take it
mom.
literally.
Yeah. Oh my
Well,
God.
back to Jess. Even if Abby is in the living room just watching TV waiting for Ben to get there, that's ridiculous for her to scare him.
No,
you know
she's
what I mean?
terrifying. She's absolutely
it's scary
crazy.
the way she's at. Yeah, then when they pan the camera over at her and she was just standing there smirking.
I know, it's scary.
About a missing child, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm trying to think of a motive for Jess, and the only thing that I can think of is that
she's
she really
sick
loved
in the head.
Yes, that, but also that she is clearly still has a lot of feelings for him as he does for her, and I don't know.
I don't see a motive with Jess.
Me. Yeah, but I think that it definitely could have been an off moment, and she just went crazy and thought that maybe this could
maybe she's not taking her maybe she's not taking her meds, had some sort of little psychotic break somehow and snapped, but I don't feel like there's enough. I don't think there's enough there.
The other thing is when the sister, after Ben comes to talk to her at the yoga studio, and he leaves kind of abruptly with all of this information, she doesn't try to stop him or anything, because I would think that he would be going to Cornell or to the police or something with this information, but she didn't try to stop him. So I feel like there's some sort of doubt in her mind, because she has been dealing with Jess's outbursts since her whole life, or since she was a teenager or whatever she said. So I feel like she does have a little ounce of suspicion there.
Yeah.
If she didn't stop him, because if that was my sister, I'd be like, but you can't tell anyone, this, it's not, you know what I mean? I'll try my best to defend it. But
something that I
where's
just thought
Scott
about
again? Where's Scott? He is nowhere to be found. I just want to bring that up. Scott,
Where are you?
With Abby, there's something that I just thought about is in the episode where he I forget what they were talking about, but Ben says to Abby, he's like, yeah, you have to, he was telling her that she just had to
own
tell
up
her
to your
mom.
actions, or
and he says you have to own up to it. You have to face the truth. And I'm like, they're saying that
They're
for
talking.
a reason.
Yeah, that's a parallel conversation. She's like, oh yeah, I have to admit when I'm done something wrong and take responsibility. I'm like, she's totally thinking about how she killed Tom and has to own up to it. It's not about how she broke her phone.
Chelsea's gonna freak out.
You guys, if next week they're like, Abby Crawford, you killed Tom Murphy, like, what? I'm not gonna handle that very well.
I don't know.
All right. That's all the time we've got. As you see, we don't know what's
happening.
All to be revealed.
I'm gonna say Elaine. I'm going with Elaine.
All to be revealed next week. Thank you guys out there so much for tuning in. Be sure to check back next week when we have the juicy conclusion to Secrets and Lies Season 1. I'm Lauren Salaun, and you can find me all over the internet at Lauren Salaun. And
you can find me at Sterling Cates.
At Chelsea Briche. At April Whisenhant.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Be sure to subscribe. AfterBuzz.com/YouTube. YouTube.com/AfterBuzz TV.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.